Welcome. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Woohoo! Good morning to those who are gathered here in the sanctuary and to all who are joining us online. We begin this morning with a musical prelude by John Mayhood. Thank you, John. That was beautiful. Welcome, friends, to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charlottesville. My name is Reverend Tim Temerson. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm pleased to be leading worship this morning with the wonderful Reverend Leah Derlin-Jones, music director Scott DeVoe, accompanist John Mayhood, guest musicians Amy Wiskirk and Matt Hartung, and the UU-Seville Choir. The sanctuary was built over 70 years ago on the homeland of the Monacan people and was once cared for by enslaved people from Africa and their descendants. We honor all who have dwelt here and all in our congregation whose lives led to this moment of our gathering. I invite us now to take a moment to greet others. Those online may unmute and say hello, and those here in the sanctuary or social hall are welcome to greet your neighbors, especially those you may not know. See that
Good morning.
The woman who was about to.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
There. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm on the road from Florida.
Hope everybody's enjoying the nice fall weather.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, we're still so blessed. Good morning, all.
Offer a special welcome to newcomers and invite you to join us for fellowship after the service in the social hall. Feel free to use one of our red coffee mugs, and UU-Seville members and friends are reminded to offer a warm welcome to anyone with a red mug. There's a live stream of the service in the social hall. Everyone, of course, is welcome here in the sanctuary, but if you need a roomier space, the social hall can be a good option. Many thanks to all the folks helping us share worship both here and online, our greeters, ushers, and hospitality teams, and special thanks to our AV tech team led by Rachel Buckland. And now we have greetings from board member Sylvie Semmelhack.
Good morning, everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Sylvie, and I'm one of the members of our board of trustees. This morning, looking out at everybody, I'm just reminded of what a beautiful community we have. I've technically been a part of this church for 17 years, but every Sunday I still see new faces and new people. Because of this, I'll let you in on a little secret of mine. Every week I grab one of the red coffee cups, which if you don't know, I think Tim just mentioned it, are supposed to be for newcomers in the social hall. I do this because first, I think they're just a little bit bigger. They hold just a little more coffee, which I think is crucial on a Sunday morning, especially if I'm teaching RE. But mostly I take that red coffee mug because I want to be able to hold conversations with as many people as I possibly can. If someone comes up to me and I have to sheepishly explain my little ploy, it's all the better. I made a new connection with somebody I didn't know before. I break this little rule because connecting with people in this church community is one of the most important things to me. I think in the face of an anxious few weeks leading up to the election, it's tempting to forget the beauty and the strength of our community here. At UU Seville, I believe our community will remain deeply rooted and strong no matter what. This Ancestor Sunday, I'm reminded of the strength we draw from our ancestors and our UU ancestral community. It's always comforting for me in difficult times to remember those that have come and fought before us. No matter how worried and powerless we may feel at times, this feeling really resonates for me. I'm still a year away from being able to vote, even though so much of my future is on the line. We find strength in the powerful community we have here, people that share values and uplift each other. I'm reminded of the UU hymn, "We are a gentle but angry people," keeping in mind all of us are fighting for peace and justice always. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvie. By the way, you're preaching the sermon next Sunday. That was Here are our announcements this morning. We have two very special events happening today after the service. First, the UU Seville Remembrance Garden Committee will be providing a tour and information about the garden. If you'd like to learn more about it and possibly take the tour, stop by the table in the social hall. The committee will be there. It's the table that will be near the very back door of the social hall that leads out to the Remembrance Garden. And we also invite you to consider making a donation either by check or Venmo to help with the upkeep of the Remembrance Garden, which you can also do at the table or by mailing a check to the church. You can make that check out to the church and just write Remembrance Garden in the memo line. And then event number 2, there is pumpkin carving and decorating outside the social hall in and around near the labyrinth. Carving tools, paint and cleaning tools will be provided. And if you didn't remember to bring a pumpkin, we have a few extra available. There will be an election night party and spaghetti dinner on Tuesday, November the 5th, beginning at 6 p.m. And you don't have to bring anything but yourself. Food and drink will be provided. Bring your family, bring the kids. We'll have activities for kids. Stay for an hour or for all evening. Save November 16th and 17th on your calendars for UU Seville's Climate Justice Revival. This is a really important moment in Unitarian Universalism and in our congregation. The revival takes place Saturday afternoon here at the church and then continues Sunday morning with a service followed by a sustainable potluck lunch. Registration is free, but we do encourage you to register on the church website. Impact, an organization we know and love very well, will be holding a community problems assembly tomorrow night at 6:30 at the Church of the Incarnation. This will be a wonderful opportunity to learn about the vital work Impact is doing and to hear stories from those whose lives are touched by their work. And then a little bit about the service today. At the end of each of the pews, you will see gold, yellow paper, and pens. In a few minutes, you'll be invited to come forward and place items on our remembrance altar here. The gold papers are for anyone who would like to write a name or names down, or perhaps a message, or maybe draw a picture. That paper is for everyone, so please help yourself. And then you'll be invited to bring those papers forward as well. And if you want, you could even begin thinking about or writing names down before we get to the ritual. And of course, as always, everyone is welcome to join in refreshments and conversation in the social hall following the service.
For our call to worship this morning, we honor the ways of our Celtic ancestors, and we invite the four directions to our worship and into our beings. Our direction calls were written by church member Bonnie Hanson, and we thank her for sharing them. And I invite Bonnie and Frank to come forward to help us in calling the directions for our call to worship. We start with the East. Spirits of the East, powers of air, we welcome you into this circle and into our bodies. We bring energy into our hands by rubbing them together briskly. And we place them on our rib cages and feel the movement of filling and emptying, in and out, bringing light, bringing life-giving breath to our lungs, our blood, our very cells. Breath of the goddess, be here now.
Spirits of the South, powers of fire, we welcome you into our circle, into our bodies, rubbing our hands together as we feel the warmth and energy there. We place our hand on our hearts and feel the reassuring thump, 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 pushing and pulling, sending heat and nourishment, filling us with love and renewal. Heart of the goddess, be here now.
Spirits of the West, powers of water, we welcome you into our circle, into our bodies. Rubbing our hands together, we notice the comfort this creates. And then we wrap ourselves in our own embrace, an embrace that holds both our sadness and our joy, our loneliness and our connection, our anger and our relief. Tears of the goddess, be here now.
Be here now.
Spirits of the north, powers of earth, we welcome you into our circle and into our bodies. We rub our hands together and clasp them, feeling their heat in the intricate structure, connecting us to this planet of metal and rock. We feel the magic of our crystalline framework and the muscles that move it, the energy that moves us. We feel our body's strength and connection to the earth. Wisdom of the goddess, be here now.
Be here now.
As Frank pours libations, we offer them in thanks to our ancestors.
I would now like to invite the repast family to come forward to light our flaming chalice. And well, I guess we don't light the lamps today, do we, Reverend Leah? No lamps, just the chalice. And will, as the repasses come forward, will you please join with me in saying our chalice lighting words? We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. And now let's say the words of our hand motions. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is a church of the open minds. This is a church of the helping hands. This is a church of the loving hearts. Let's rise now in body or spirit. We're going to join in singing our opening hymn, Gathered Here. And I believe we're going to be doing this as a round. So expect some musical direction coming your way. Oh, yeah, yep, sorry. Yep, I got them both. There you go.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay, let's sing it together first, just so we can remember how this tune goes. Good. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Okay, you guys are going to be number ones. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in this one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in this one strong body, gathered here from the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near, Spirit draw near.
Maybe seated. Thank you, Scott.
So Reverend Tim and I wanted to do a little exploring this morning together. And one of the things that we wanted to lift up and have us all think about is just the beauty in the natural world that is around us this time of season. So think about some of the things that you might have seen recently in nature. Maybe it was the changing color of leaves, or noticing that some plants are actually blooming this time of year, like camellias and other plants that bloom in the fall while other plants are dying. So it is that watching that cycle of death and rebirth and life happening right before our eyes. It's a time when we need to, well, some of us wear jackets because we're feeling like it's a little cool. And for me, I always love the blue of the sky this time of year, looking up and seeing that bright blue. It looks so clean and clear. And then with the leaves next to it, oh, sometimes it can just take my breath away. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, so yes, all of the above. But I would add, especially thinking about the cooler weather, I think what really jumps out at me are the cooler evenings, the cooler nights. It gets down sometimes into the 40s and maybe even the high 30s. And that always means the first time that happens, that is my family's rationale for firing up our fireplace for the first time. And the fireplace is very, very popular in our home. I was telling Reverend Leah this morning that as soon as that fireplace comes on, my daughter Carissa, our 3 cats, and my wife are all huddled around it. So I told Reverend Leah, I don't always get as much warmth as I'm hoping for because there's a lot of other bodies there, but it's just it's a wonderful feeling. So
it is. And one of the things that I'm sure you all have noticed this time of year when you've been out and about in your neighborhood, maybe even in front of your own house, are decorations for Halloween. Anybody have decorations for Halloween up? Really? Well, yay for those of you who do. That's one of the things I've really noticed when I'm walking in my neighborhood is the different decorations that are out. And there's a house in my neighborhood with a little boy who lives in it, and every day it seems a new bone appears in the yard. And what that's made me think about is how it seems like we give permission this time of year in ways that we don't the rest of the year to think about death or to acknowledge death. And it seems like it's maybe there's something about it that makes us more comfortable talking about it or exploring it. So having skeletons around us, like, if your neighbor was putting skeletons out in, March or June, it might give you pause. But this time of year, we kind of expect that and we anticipate it and it's normal.
yeah, that's really true, Reverend Leah. We play with these ideas as a culture this time of year in ways that we really don't the rest of the year. And I'm glad that we have time to explore because this is really important.
It is important. So when I walk through my neighborhood and I see these decorations, it makes me think about how we as Unitarian Universalists handle death or talk about death, how we make sense of death. And I'm grateful for the ways that we as a community and a faith allow explorations of death and realize how important it is to think about what happens after we die.
Yeah, these really are important ideas and things to think about and talk about. And that's true for all ages. Everybody.
Yeah, it is. And it's important because not everybody always feels like they have permission to talk about death or dying, or to have questions about death or dying or what happens after we die. So one of the things that I feel really pleased about is the fact that we often have, when someone dies, a celebration of their life or a memorial service. And so instead of a funeral that might be very constrained or contained, not always, what we try to do as Unitarian Universalists is really talk about the life that the person had, the fullness of their life, both their good and their bad qualities, the things that they did that they were proud of, maybe some of the regrets that they have, but we explore that fullness as we celebrate their life.
Absolutely. That's so very true, Reverend Leah. And, sometimes we Unitarian Universalists don't remember that one half of our tradition, the Universalist side, really started, it began with a theology, an idea, an understanding of what happens after we die. The Universalists believed that there is no such thing as hell, that God is a God of unconditional and universal love, and that at the end of your life, the Universalists believed that everyone would be welcomed home, would be welcomed to heaven. Now, today, we Unitarian Universalists, we don't really have a single belief about what happens after we die. We can have, as you use, different understandings of the afterlife. And it's okay. It's okay to not know necessarily. We accept and celebrate that mystery, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I treasure that about us. I treasure that idea that we don't believe in hell. What a liberating idea that is. To really claim that and know that and feel that in your bones. And to be okay with mystery. Yeah. I don't know what happens when we die or when those we love die, but I do like to think about all of us being reunited and part of a larger love that holds us all. And I like to imagine my loved ones who are no longer of this earth, part of a loving energy that is filling the universe, reunited into a great oneness. But I did have this epiphany about heaven the other day. I haven't really claimed heaven as a word for myself. I just think of this great love and reuniting, but it was as I was walking my dogs in my neighborhood, and I thought, a lot of people do take great comfort in the idea of heaven, and I think that is wonderful. And if I were going to create for myself an idea of heaven, what I'd really love is to be reunited with all the companion animals that have been with me since my young childhood. I would love to see all of them together and to pet them and hold them. I'd love to see Sally, my kitten, the first cat I ever had, who I named Cookie Peanut Butter. I would love to see Fluffy and Thomas and Tima and Muffin and just be surrounded by all those beloved creatures who gave me so much love and comfort and still do, throughout my life. So when I was thinking, oh, heaven, wouldn't that be heaven? If I was around all my furry loved ones, and I felt such a deep sense of peace that it really made me have an empathy or an understanding for other people who talk about a concept of heaven. So I thought, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine in that sense of just a thought that brings me peace. It doesn't have to be true, but it's just a lovely image to hold.
Very much. That's a really, really beautiful vision of what might happen after we die. And I've encouraged Reverend Leah this morning to think about writing a book called Furry Heaven, which I think would be lovely. I don't know that I can say that I've ever had that specific of an image or a vision. But I've always for me, it's been more like a feeling. And for me, the feeling would be laughter and fun and just being with loved ones and sharing stories. That's when I'm happiest in my life. And yeah, there'll probably be a few dad jokes told in there too. But yeah, it just feels like that if there is something like heaven, that it's what brings us joy in our lives. That's what it means to me. But of course, like you said, it's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Yeah.
So we invite you to contemplate this mystery for yourself in the coming days and months. Think about your own possibilities for what the afterlife might mean to you, or play with ideas that maybe bring you a sense of comfort without getting caught up in whether or not it has to be an absolute truth. Try some things on. Let yourself just notice what brings you a sense of great peace or deep peace as we honor this season of life, death, and remembrance.
So let's now rise in body or spirit and join in singing together our chant, which we sing almost every year during the service, Ancestors Calling, as a reminder to listen to the voices of our ancestors. It's not in the hymnal, but the lyrics will be up on the screen, so please rise.
It is time now, as we do every year in our service, to create together our own altar, to recognize, remember, and honor our ancestors and other beloveds who have passed on. Those of us in the sanctuary will, in a moment, place pictures, mementos, and what we've written down on the golden paper slips on the altar that we will create together. The photos that were submitted electronically prior to the service will also be shared at this time. Everyone is invited at some point today to create a small altar in your own home, perhaps on your dining table or a coffee table or your windowsill. If you have photos of loved ones who have died or something that reminds you of them, a book, flower, piece of jewelry, you might place these items there to help you remember. Today, October 27th, is the Sunday closest to Halloween, an old tradition observed in many cultures. The Old English meaning is hallowed or holy evening. Halloween is the evening for the observance of All Souls Day on November 1st, when we honor all those who have died, our ancestors. In pagan and earth-centered traditions, this observance is called Samhain. It is a deep and basic human need to remember those who came before us, those whose lives, loves, work, and dreams led to this moment, led to us, to our families, both biological and chosen. Those participating in worship online are invited to notice things in your own home, perhaps pictures nearby, or other things which help you remember your ancestors. Those here in the Rugby Road Sanctuary are invited to come forward at this time and add your items to both the altars, the one here in the front, and perhaps your larger items here and the altar on the chancel, as we all bear witness to our ancestors. And if you would like some help with placing your item, if you would raise your hand, Patty Wallens will come and assist you. Let our ritual of remembrance begin. Please join me in prayer. For those in our extended human family who came before us or walked with us and are of the earth no more, we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. Where there is ache, may there be peace. Where there is loss, may there be ease. May we feel surrounded and held by the love that is larger than us all. May we see ourselves as part of the wider circle of life and feel connected to those we miss and love. And to those ancestors we never met in person, but whose very lives are what made it possible for us to be here today, we offer thanks. Let our spirits be fed and inspired by the courage, wisdom, and the dreams of the collective ancestors. Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and working to co-create heaven on earth. Amen, and blessed be.
I'd now like to invite us to share together a beautiful reading that is in our hymnal. It's written by wonderful Rabbi Roland Gittleson, and it's called "We Remember Them." And the refrain, I invite you, I'll do most of the reading, and then I invite you to respond with "We remember them." It should be up on the screen. There it is. Yes. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, at the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter,
We remember them.
at the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, at the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer,
We remember them.
at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, at the beginning of the year and when it ends,
We remember them.
when we are weary and in need of strength,
We remember them.
when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joy we yearn to share.
We remember them.
As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us. And
We remember them.
amen.
We are an interconnected community that cares for one another, and part of how we embody this care is by making time each week to share the joys and the sorrows we hold in our hearts. Due to time constraints, we will not be doing our usual ritual of joys and sorrows this morning, but Patty Wallens from the pastoral care team will be available for a few minutes after this morning's service in the back corner here of the sanctuary if you are in need of pastoral support or you simply would like someone to listen. Those online who would like to may reach out to the pastoral care team at pastoral@uucharlottesville.org.
This community offers its love and support to what is closest to our hearts. Another way we show our care for one another is in sharing our financial gifts with our community and our congregation. Our social action collection for the month of October is for Pacham. Pacham provides emergency shelter and services in partnership with faith organizations in the community to alleviate the challenges facing those who are unhoused. Pacham has welcomed over 1,800 neighbors in need to our community shelter spaces, like UU Congregation of Charlottesville, since 2004, and helped nearly 500 move directly from shelter to permanent housing. Rachel, will you please show us the social action slide for giving for those who would like to make a donation right now online? In addition to giving online, if you'd like to give today with cash or check, please use the Social Action Collection envelopes here in the sanctuary and place your offering in the collection plate. Along with our Social Action Collection, we invite everyone to financially support the ministries and mission of this community through your pledges and the weekly Sunday morning offering. Together, our financial gifts help support UUCville and enable us to put love into action. This is our shared ministry. During the music that follows, you can offer your financial support by using the text address or going to our website. You may place cash or checks in the collection plates as they are passed. So let us now dedicate all of the many gifts we share with one another by saying, "We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely for the highest good."
So, we have a piece this morning that is based on a text by Audre Lorde. I don't know, do you have that? I sent that to you, Rachel, and I had never had a chance to see whether you got it up there. Probably not. Okay, I mean, if you didn't, that's not a problem. I do want to kind of explain it. It's a short text. I mean, this is a very repetitive song. It's saying the same thing over and over again. In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, I mean, dividing and conquering. A lot of things having to do with identity are dealing with dividing and conquering. You see a person, that person is a woman, and you go, oh, well, they're a woman. Or you think, that person is black, or that person is from South Asia, or that person is all three of those things. I don't know why I chose that particular example, but I'm just saying, dividing and conquering, to say each of those categories is a problem, and okay, I mean, defining and empowering is more saying, reflect on that, think about that heritage, think about what it means to be a woman in this society, think about what it means to be black or to be from South Asia, and realize that our responsibility in this world is to define, meaning to understand and empower. So the text is, in our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. And I put this to you because, in fact, there is a tune that we're going to be singing, and I would like you to join along with it. If we could just kind of, give me an F sharp. So, okay. In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. Can you try that? In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. One more time. In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. In the middle, we just go define and empower. Define and empower. And after we do that, we go back to the beginning. In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. Now, if you can sing along with us, that would be great. We altos in our congregation are going to be leading us, but I would love you guys to do it all the way through, because that's what the piece is designed to do. Yes, we do have a rhythm section here, so we're going to get things moving. Including shakers and things like that. 1, 2, 3. We're about to start, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4. In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. Define and empower. Define.
Wow. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Amy, Matt, John. I don't know who else was in the shaker section. And thank you all, and the choir. Wow, that was amazing. We are so blessed. Who? And the congregation, of course. Of course. Always thank Ann Salamini for keeping me honest. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I want to say like 2 minutes worth of thoughts about today's service and this theme of Ancestor Sunday, and especially remembering and memory. So just thinking back to the conversation I had with Reverend Leah earlier, I'm really glad that the Universalists came along, because boy, was the kind of the understanding that was around at that time, and we're talking like the 1700s and before, was really scary, right? So the way the afterlife and what happens after you die was that while some people might go to a nice place, a lot of people wouldn't. And the Universalists came along and said, that doesn't make any sense. The God that we believe in is all about love. No God that's all about love would act that way. So the Universalists changed the conversation, changed the imagery, changed the understanding of the afterlife, at least for us and for others. Over time, of course, in Unitarian Universalism, we came to welcome and accept and understand all kinds of ways of thinking about the afterlife, including believing there is no afterlife. So in Unitarian Universalism, we have people who believe in some kind of understanding of heaven or an afterlife. We have people who don't. And we have lots of people, myself included, who aren't sure, are still thinking about it, are pondering, reflecting, asking questions, which is so important in what we do in Unitarian Universalism. Now, yesterday, I had the great privilege of leading a memorial service here for the son of Jenny Gaden. Jenny's sitting right over there, her son David. He passed away a few weeks ago. I don't know, how many of you have been to a memorial service at this church or at another UU congregation? Many of you, not all, but many. So one of the things that I most respect and I would say admire about memorial services in Unitarian Universalism, that they are all about that reading that we had earlier, that responsive reading that you helped me with. They are all about memory and remembering. They're all about understanding that when we lose a loved one, that when someone dies, the love that we feel for them, the beauty of their life, that lives on in us. That lives on in us. So our memorial services are about telling stories, about remembering. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, oftentimes we do both. But that's because we love and we give room in our memorial services for those memories and for that love to be honored and celebrated. And we do that in all of Unitarian Universalism around when we lose loved ones. We hold services like Ancestor Sunday, like we are today, where we create space where we can be together and remember those we still love but have lost. And another thing that we do that you heard mentioned earlier is that in this congregation and in others, we have spaces, oftentimes gardens, where we put up memorials for people in our congregation or loved ones of people in our congregation who have died. And we have a remembrance garden here at the UU congregation of Charlottesville. And if you've never gone down to the garden, I really hope you will take a few minutes and go and take the little tour. and listen to the story of the garden. The garden is designed to be a place of peace and reflection, a place where you'll see slate markers on the brick wall that has the name of the person who has passed. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. And again, it's an example in Unitarian Universalism that we try to create moments and opportunities where we can just be, where we can feel that love, where we can remember. So I do hope that you will, many of you will take time to go and check the garden out. It really is a beautiful, beautiful space. And I'm just so delighted that we in this congregation celebrate and have this service. We celebrate the lives of those we have loved, those we still love, and lost. It's so important to do. Those are my brief thoughts this morning. So may the memories of everyone who is honored here today and everyone that we carry in our hearts, may those memories always be a blessing. So let's now rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn. It is number 108. Oh my gosh, I forgot something. I'm sorry. You know what? You can stay standing. Let's just for a minute. I forgot something important because I wasn't looking at my text. That's what happens when Reverend Tim goes off script. So we always like to take a few minutes to invite anyone present and people online to call out the names of someone important to them that they have lost. People online, feel free to write those names in the chat. Those in this space, you can be seated or remain standing. It's up to you. Feel free to just call out a name or names of someone that you have lost. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. Now let's rise in body or spirit and join in singing My Life Flows On in Endless Song. The lyrics will be on the screen. It's also in the gray hymnal.
Want to make sure and invite all of you to come forward at the end of the service and look at the items that are here on the altar and witness for one another the lives that we have loved and lost. Reverend Tim will extinguish our chalice now. And as our service draws to a close, may the wisdom, the courage, and the strength of all the ancestors stay with us this day and always. May we find comfort in our collective stories and memories, and may these beloveds live on in our hearts. Go in peace and with love. Amen, and blessed be.